Hello, welcome. My name is Kome and I'm going to take you through Master JavaScript course, a course that is meant to equip you with everything that you need to know to become a JavaScript expert. So to get started, we'll start by setting up a JavaScript IDE to compile our JavaScript. So I'll first of all download Visual Studio Code, which is an editor, a code editor by updating my code. By just googling Visual Studio Code, I'll go to the first link and download it as necessary. Next thing that I require is Node.js, which is a JavaScript runtime environment that enables us to run JavaScript on the server. So you download it appropriately here. Since I've already downloaded mine, I'll come and check where I want to compile my JavaScript. I'll just say node version. And I'll see I already have node version 23.0.0. So that is good to go. So I'll start now working on my JavaScript code. I'll create a new file because you are now starting by tackling the basic syntax where we deal with variables and data types. So I'll call it variables. I will call this file JavaScript variables.js. And JavaScript, the first thing is that it is it's usually a dynamically typed or loosely typed language, meaning that we can assign variables, various data types during execution. For example, you can say let x be equals to 5. Then you can also assign x another variable like a string during execution, and it will still be able to handle it. So by default, we don't explicitly declare let, for example, int here. JavaScript automatically implements the value and then assigns data type automatically. For example, here 5 will be assigned, x will be assigned a number or an integer because here the value is 5. The value here is a string, therefore x at this time now will be assigned a string, or a data type, it will be of data type string. So let's confirm that. So I'll say console.log x, and I'll come here and say console.log x. So the value of x will change. So I'll come here and compile node. I'll say JavaScript variables.js console. So I'll save. I will compile again JavaScript variables.js. Okay, you can see the first value is 5, the second value is comma, and it is the same variable, but having different data types during execution. So I'll clear that. That's why we say that JavaScript is dynamically typed. So I'll comment this on the way to that there. So the next thing that I'm going to do is that we are going to look at what data types are there in JavaScript. We usually have a string, which of course will hold a string value. We used to have a number, which will hold the number value, the number or an integer. We also have things like undefined, which is usually used to declare a value that has been declared but not assigned a value. We also have big int and so on. And we also have boolean, which is for true or false, a boolean data type. But by default, data types, we don't explicitly declare them here in the variable declaration because JavaScript uses the value to inference the data type for the variable. So having seen that, then let's next move to variable types, or ways to declare variables. You can declare variables using let. You can also use the var. Also use the const. So let's see how that is done in all of this. The first thing is that I'm going to use the let. So let is used to declare variables which can only be accessed within a block, or which can be accessed the nearest block that follows where the variable has been declared. So in this case, for example, I'll say I'll have a small loop here where I loop variable let. For example, you can say let x be 0, x be start at 0, let x go all the way to less than 5, let x increase itself every time by 1. So if I was to come here and say console.log x, then I'll get all the way to the last value, which is 4. But when I come here and say console.log x, I'm expecting to get a reference error because this variable is not yet declared at this stage. So I will again compile you can see the first thing we get 0 to 4, and then the next part we get reference error, x is not defined. So that is it with the x variable or the let keyword. So we come to let later on. So for now, let me just end it there. So we also have the var. So the var keyword is used to declare variables that can either be function scoped or global scoped, but it's based on the current execution status. So for example, let's say we have a function which is a block of code simply calling numbers. Then we have to come here, for example, and say, let's say for var I is equals to 0. Let's repeat what we have been doing there. Let's use the same x we have done there before. X is equals to 0, x is equals to 0, x less than 5. Then let's increase our x by 1 every time. So we come here and say console.log x every time, then you get all the way to 4. So let me come again outside this function and declare a variable called j for var j is equals to 0 is equals to, let's say, 10, j less than 20, which will go all the way to 19, j plus plus, j plus plus. So we have to say console.log j, then you're expecting to get the values of 10 all the way to 20, all the way to 19. So if I come here and call the numbers function, then I'm expecting that I will be able to get 0 all the way to 4 because x here, the var x is used to declare variables that are, at this stage, it is within the context of this function during execution. Therefore, var will only be accessible by this function. But this var here for j, it's accessible by the entire, it's global. Therefore, it can be accessed even outside the outside by anything actually here within this file. So here, if I come and say console.log and then log, let's say x, I'm expecting a reference here. If I say console.log j, then of course I'm expecting to get the last variable. After j is less than 20, which will be 19, and then it will be incremented by 1. So I'm expecting j will be 20 at this stage. So let me save. So I will save file, then I will save. So I can say I'm expecting these two. So x here, I'm expecting it will give me 20, it will give me reference error. But this time I'm expecting j to give me 20. So let me compile. Good. So let me compile. So we can say x is not defined. That is the reference error. So let's see what j has given us. So console.log j. So let's put this up here. Let's save. Let's recompile. Yes, you can see j is already 20 here. J is already 20. And then, of course, which is the last one. And then x becomes referential because it is accessed outside the scope. It's functional scope. So that is it with the var. So the next thing is I will cover the constant. So a constant is used to declare a variable. Let's say pi is equals to 3.142. It is to declare a variable that will be assigned immutable variable. It means it will just be assigned once to a value. Once it is initialized the first time, it cannot be reassigned a value again. So pi cannot be reassigned again. Therefore, that is a constant. So if I come say console.log pi, I'm expecting it to be just be 3.142. But if I try to assign pi again, let's say 14, then pi, I'll get an error actually. So you can see there's an error there. Assignment to a constant, type error, it's a type error. So it cannot be reassigned. So let's look at variable hoisting. So variable hoisting means a variable being taken to the top of its current containing scope. So let's say, for example, we have let's say, for example, let's say we can say x console.log x. Let's try to log x. So it will be taken to the top of that containing scope before even it is declared. So if you say, for example, let's say var x is equals to 20. Let's see what happens. Here I'm expecting to get undefined because by default, this variable x, the x itself is taken by the time it is, during compile time, it is taken at the top of the containing scope. And therefore, here x by variable, a variable x, even if it is at this time, the variable iteration is taken to the top of the containing scope, it may not be assigned any value, but by default, variables or variables declared with var are assigned undefined by default. Therefore, here console.log x will give me undefined. So let's compile again. You realize you get undefined. But if this happens to be let keyword, then the variable x here enters in what we call a temporal end zone, and therefore it is not then accessible before it is declared and initialized. Thus, you get reference error. So you can see we have the reference error there, reference error. The same case with the constant. So if you have again const, you are likely to get a reference error at the same time. So the const and the const, you cannot be returned before initialization, but with the var, as you have seen, then of course it becomes undefined because by default it is assigned undefined variable by default. Undefined value, sorry, by default. So I hope that helped you. Soon we are going now to move to operators and expression, and that is the end of lesson 1. I hope it helped you so much. If you like this, please don't forget to follow me on Twitter at comikelvink, and then don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel to make this content spread and help others as it helped you. Thank you so much.